When we think about the modern world, we imagine skyscrapers, smartphones, social media, and technologies that connect billions of people every day. But despite all this progress, there are still communities around the world that preserve traditions, rituals, and beliefs that seem to belong to another era. Some live deep inside remote jungles. Others continue practicing ceremonies that have survived for centuries. Some cultures maintain unique relationships with death, spirituality, and the supernatural. And a few have become famous because of stories involving ritual cannibalism, ancestral worship, or mysterious customs that challenge everything we consider normal. Today, we will travel across Asia, Africa, and Latin America to explore some of the most fascinating, controversial, and mysterious cultures on Earth. Prepare yourself for a journey into the unknown. Japan is often viewed as one of the most advanced nations in the world. Its cities are famous for cutting-edge technology, robotics, bullet trains, and futuristic architecture. Yet beneath the bright neon lights of Tokyo lies a very different reality. One of Tokyo's most famous districts is Kabukicho, an entertainment area known for its nightlife, hidden bars, underground businesses, and historical connections to organized crime. For decades, criminal groups known as the Yakuza developed a reputation for strict loyalty, secret codes, and elaborate rituals. Many members covered their bodies with traditional tattoos that symbolized courage, sacrifice, and status within the organization. Another unusual phenomenon in Japan is the hikikomori. These are individuals who completely withdraw from society, sometimes remaining isolated in their homes for months or even years. Experts believe social pressure, anxiety, and modern expectations contribute to this growing phenomenon. The contrast between futuristic innovation and deep social isolation makes Japan one of the most fascinating societies in the modern world. India is home to thousands of spiritual traditions, but few are as mysterious as the Aghori. The Aghori are ascetic monks who seek spiritual enlightenment by confronting what most people fear. Rather than avoiding death, they embrace its reality. Many perform rituals near cremation grounds along the banks of sacred rivers. They cover themselves with ashes collected from funeral pyres and meditate among symbols of mortality. Their philosophy teaches that everything in existence is part of the same divine reality. To the Aghori, concepts such as purity and impurity are social illusions that prevent people from understanding the true nature of life. Because of their unusual practices, they are often misunderstood by outsiders. However, many scholars argue that the Aghori represent an extreme form of spiritual discipline rather than simple shock value. Their existence continues to attract travelers, researchers, and documentary filmmakers from around the world. Deep within the rainforests of Papua, Indonesia, lives the Korowai tribe. For generations, many Korowai communities remained isolated from the outside world. One of their most remarkable characteristics is their architecture. Some families build enormous tree houses more than 30 meters above the ground. These elevated homes help protect them from flooding, dangerous animals, and potential enemies. The tribe gained international attention because of historical reports describing ritual cannibalism linked to spiritual beliefs. According to some accounts, individuals believed to be practicing harmful sorcery could be punished through rituals that included cannibalistic acts. Researchers continue debating the accuracy and frequency of these reports. What is certain is that the Korowai developed a unique culture adapted to one of the most challenging jungle environments on Earth. Their survival skills, hunting techniques, and knowledge of the rainforest remain extraordinary. The Toraja people of Indonesia are famous for having one of the most unique relationships with death in the world. For many Torajans, death is not considered an immediate ending. Instead, it is viewed as a gradual transition between worlds. After a family member dies, relatives may keep the body inside the home for months or even years while preparations are made for elaborate funeral ceremonies. The deceased continues to be treated as a family member during this period. Food may be symbolically offered and daily conversations continue as if the person were still present. One of the most famous ceremonies is manene. During this ritual, families carefully clean, dress, and honor the preserved remains of their ancestors. To outsiders this may appear unusual, but for the Toraja it represents love, remembrance, and respect. These traditions demonstrate how differently cultures can understand life, death, and family bonds. Mexico possesses a rich cultural heritage shaped by indigenous traditions, colonial history, and modern beliefs. Among its most controversial spiritual movements is the devotion to Santa Muerte. Often represented as a skeletal figure, Santa Muerte is viewed by many followers as a protector who offers comfort, guidance, and hope. Millions of devotees come from different social backgrounds. Some seek protection from danger. Others pray for health, employment, or family well-being. Mexico is also famous for stories involving shamans, folk healers, mystical rituals, and ancient traditions that continue to influence daily life. These beliefs have become an important part of popular culture and contribute to the country's unique spiritual landscape. Brazil is known for its vibrant culture, music, and diversity. However, some of its most unique communities developed inside densely populated neighborhoods known as favelas. Over time, these areas created their own social structures, artistic movements, and cultural identities. Music genres such as funk karaoke emerged from these communities and became powerful forms of expression. Street art transformed walls into giant canvases filled with color and social messages. Brazil is also home to spiritual traditions such as Umbanda and Candomblé. These religions combine African, indigenous, and European influences, creating a rich spiritual heritage that continues to thrive today. The combination of resilience, creativity, and spirituality makes Brazil one of the most culturally dynamic countries in the world. South Africa is a nation where modern cities coexist with powerful ancestral traditions. Traditional healers known as sangomas play an important role in many communities. People often consult them for guidance, healing, and spiritual protection. Their ceremonies frequently involve drumming, dancing, chanting, and trance states intended to connect with ancestral spirits. Many South Africans believe that honoring ancestors helps maintain balance between the physical and spiritual worlds. These practices have survived centuries of social and political change. Today they continue to influence daily life for millions of people. The coexistence of modern urban life and ancient spiritual traditions creates one of the most fascinating cultural landscapes in Africa. The Four tribe is one of the most studied cases by science. For decades they practiced a form of funerary cannibalism. When a person died, some relatives consumed parts of the body as a way of showing respect and saying goodbye. They believed that this way the spirit of the deceased remained connected to the community. However, this practice caused the spread of a neurological disease known as kuru. Scientists discovered that it was transmitted through the consumption of infected brain tissue. The study of this disease allowed important advances in the understanding of prions and other neurodegenerative diseases. When we think of Japan, we usually imagine technology, futuristic cities, and high-speed trains. However, behind that modern image lies a spiritual tradition with more than 1,000 years of history. Every winter, thousands of men participate in one of the country's most striking festivals. It is the Heidaka Matsuri, popularly known as the Naked Men's Festival. Dressed only in a traditional loincloth, participants endure temperatures near freezing while waiting for the most important moment of the ceremony. Inside the temple, a priest throws objects considered symbols of good fortune. In a matter of seconds, the crowd rushes to try and catch them. Shoves, shouts, and hundreds of bodies moving at the same time create a chaotic scene that, when viewed from above, looks like a single human mass. But for those who participate, it is not a competition. It is an act of purification and spiritual renewal. The extreme cold represents a physical challenge that must be overcome with discipline and determination. In other regions of the country, fire takes center stage. During different traditional festivals, enormous torches light up the night while priests and participants perform ceremonies to symbolize purification and the beginning of a new cycle. The flames, far from representing destruction, symbolize spiritual cleansing. But perhaps one of Japan's most fascinating groups is the Yamabushi. For centuries, these practitioners have roamed mountains, crossed forests, and undergone intense physical training as part of a spiritual discipline. For days, they walk long distances, meditate under freezing waterfalls, and spend long hours in silence. Their goal is not to challenge nature, it is to learn to live in harmony with it. Every step represents a lesson. Every difficulty is considered an opportunity to strengthen the mind. In a world where everything seems to be speeding up, these ancient practices remind us that, for some people, the true journey takes place within. In many cultures, marriage marks the beginning of a new life. But in some regions of China, there was a historical tradition that sought to unite two people even after their death. It is known as ghost marriages. Historically, some families organized symbolic ceremonies when a person died without having married. According to certain traditional beliefs, this ritual allowed an important cycle within family and spiritual life to be completed. Over time, this practice has become much less common, and in some cases, authorities have acted against illegal activities related to it. However, its historical existence continues to arouse curiosity and has inspired numerous stories and documentaries. Another of the best-known celebrations is the Hungry Ghost Festival. During this festival, many families make offerings of food, incense, and symbolic objects to honor their ancestors and express respect for those who are no longer here. When night falls, thousands of lanterns illuminate streets and rivers. The scene looks like something out of a movie. According to tradition, these lights help guide the spirits during their visit to the world of the living. Although for some it may only be an ancestral custom, for millions of people it represents a way to keep the bond with their families alive. Ceremonies are also performed in Taoist temples where priests recite ancient texts, use bells, ritual music, and incense to symbolize harmony between the spiritual and earthly worlds. Every movement has a meaning. Every sound is part of a tradition passed down for generations. Rather than trying to invoke the unknown, these ceremonies seek to recall the importance of balance, respect, and continuity between the past and the present. Each spring, in small communities in northern Greece, a celebration begins that has baffled researchers and visitors for decades. When night falls, huge piles of wood slowly turn into an extensive bed of glowing embers. The temperature is extreme. The heat can be felt from several meters away. However, when the most anticipated moment arrives, some participants cross the path of embers barefoot. This tradition is called anisnaria. Those who participate consider spiritual preparation to be just as important as the act of walking on fire itself. For hours, and even days, many take part in prayers, traditional music, and religious processions that seek to strengthen concentration and a sense of community. Beyond the visual spectacle, the ritual symbolizes trust, devotion, and a deep connection to a tradition passed down for generations. For observers, it is inevitable to wonder how it is possible to walk on such a hot surface. Although physics helps explain part of the phenomenon when conditions are right and contact is very brief, for the participants, the meaning goes far beyond any scientific explanation. The important thing is not to challenge the fire, it is to cross through the fear. And perhaps that is the true essence of the ritual. When many people think of India, they imagine majestic temples, intense colors, and an enormous cultural diversity. But it is also a place where some religious practices push the body and mind to limits that can be difficult for an outside observer to understand. One of the most impressive festivals is Taipusam. Every year, thousands of devotees participate to fulfill vows or express gratitude after overcoming difficult moments in their lives. During the celebration, some believers voluntarily pierce the skin of their cheeks, tongue, or torso with needles and decorated metallic structures known as cavities. For those who participate, pain is not the goal, it represents a demonstration of spiritual discipline, concentration, and devotion. Before the ritual, they usually prepare through fasting, prayer, and meditation. Another group that has sparked great curiosity is the Agharis, a small community of ascetics who follow an extreme interpretation of certain currents of Hinduism. Many live near the crematoriums of the city of Varanasi, considered one of the most sacred places in the country. Their philosophy seeks to overcome the fear of death and break the barriers between what society considers pure and impure. For this reason, they practice meditation in spaces associated with the end of life. Varanasi is also the setting for one of the most well-known funeral rituals in the world. Thousands of families bring their loved ones there to perform cremation ceremonies according to Hindu tradition. For many believers, saying goodbye in this city symbolizes a profound spiritual act and the hope of closing the cycle of life in accordance with their beliefs. In other regions of India, there are also ceremonies where participants walk on burning embers. For devotees, these fire walks represent a demonstration of faith, mental preparation, and spiritual strength. Although all these scenes may seem extraordinary to a visitor, for millions of people they are part of a tradition deeply rooted in their history and their way of understanding the world. Guatemala is a country where Maya traditions and colonial influences have coexisted for centuries. Many communities have preserved ceremonies that reflect a deep connection with nature, memory, and the passage of time. One of the most impressive events takes place every year during All Saints' Day. In towns like Sumpango and Santiago Zacatepecas, entire families work for weeks to build gigantic paper kites, barilites, some measuring more than 10 meters in diameter. When the day of the celebration arrives, the sky begins to fill with colors. For many participants, these kites represent a tribute to loved ones and a symbol of the bond between generations. The wind becomes a central element of the ceremony. Each gust seems to carry messages of remembrance and hope. Another deeply rooted tradition is the Quema del Diablo, the burning of the devil. Every December, many families light symbolic bonfires as part of a popular custom associated with leaving behind everything they consider negative before the start of a new cycle. Over time, many communities have adapted this tradition to reduce its environmental impact and prioritize safer ways of celebrating. Maya ceremonies also remain present in various parts of the country. In front of stone altars, spiritual guides make offerings with flowers, colored candles, seeds, and aromatic resins. The smoke rises slowly while prayers are spoken in indigenous languages that have survived for centuries. Every color, every direction, and every element of the ceremony holds a meaning related to nature and balance. For many indigenous peoples, human beings cannot be understood as separate from the earth, they are a part of it. Long before the spread of Christianity across Europe, numerous Germanic peoples celebrated festivities linked to the changing of the seasons, the fertility of the land, and the cycle of nature. Some of those ceremonies included large bonfires, community gatherings, and stories passed down around the fire. With the passing of the centuries, many practices disappeared. Others integrated into new religious or popular celebrations. During the so-called Walpurgisnacht, Walpurgisnacht, for example, different regions of Germany maintain festivities where bonfires, music, and community gatherings recall ancient traditions related to the arrival of spring. Beyond the legends, these celebrations show how cultures change over time without completely losing the bond with their past. Beliefs evolve. Symbols transform. But the human need to gather, celebrate, and find meaning remains. Each of these cultures reveals a different way of understanding reality. Some traditions focus on death. Others emphasize spirituality, survival, or community. While many customs may appear strange to outsiders, they remind us that humanity is incredibly diverse. Across the planet, people continue searching for meaning, identity, and connection in their own unique ways. If you enjoy documentaries about mysterious cultures, extreme traditions, and hidden communities, subscribe for more fascinating stories from around the world. And tell us in the comments, which culture surprised you the most? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next documentary.